Hello and welcome to the Otaku Network podcast. My name is Steve.
And I'm David.
And we are into week 6, the halfway point of the 2025 spring anime season. This week in Kowloon Generic Romance, we start out with Hebinuma being chastised by his father and being told that he needs to get rid of his toy, a la Gwen. So the following morning, Hebinuma kicks Gwen to the curb, and without anything else to do, he goes back to Kowloon and becomes a delivery person, I guess? I don't know. Gwen ends up delivering some food to Yaomei, and pretty quickly Yaomei realizes that this is the person that Reiko told her about. Yaomei, being the alpha personality that she is, drags him to lunch with her and Reiko, at which point they have meaningful conversations. Reiko asks him about the version of her that she believes is dead. He tells her she isn't dead, but she probably doesn't want to know the truth. And before he can tell her, she leaves. She distracts herself from finding out the deeper truths about herself.
In typical anime protagonist fashion.
Hebinuma ends up having a meeting with this Dr. Wong, who is sort of a physician, I guess you could say.
I would say he's probably definitely a physician.
Yeah. So we find out that Hebinuma is intergender, and the doctor informs him that neither of them work for reproductive purposes due to his genetic makeup, which apparently Hebinuma is looking to sire a child. At which point we are then introduced to somebody who works for Hebinuma, a man by the name of Yulong, who appears to be Hebinuma's tech specialist, at least in regards to Gene Terra. And so we find out a little bit about what Gene Terra's purpose is. Apparently, the Gene Terra project was created as a way to grant a wish to Hebinuma's father to resurrect from death his son. So it's ambiguous as to whether there is a different child that was part of the Hebinuma family, or if something even more bizarre happened with the Hebinuma that we know, whose first name is Miyuki. Either way, Hebinuma's plan with Gene Terra is to deliver as promised to his father, but as a poisoned pill. If he succeeds in resurrecting this lost son, it will be done in a way that will result in not having any memory. There are a couple of aspects of the project, it feels like. There is the cloning aspect, and apparently there are 2 different types of clones that we're aware of. One that is referred to as zirconia, and I think the other one was just referred to as clones. And there apparently is something with the zirconia that the clones are not as high of quality. So the clone of Gwen was probably part of the zirconia project. And then the other part of Gene Terra is the memory storage and replication, which still brings me to the idea that Gene Terra may have something to do with artificial environments and computer-based brain replacement. In the conversation between Yulong and Hebinuma, we also learned that there's something odd going on with Kowloon, in that not everybody sees it in its non-destroyed state. And they're having a discussion as to what may be triggering why some people see it ruined and others do not.
Also, there were 2 Kowloons?
In the narration of this story, the Kowloon that the characters know was a revival of the original one after that was torn down.
Okay.
So we are...
Now this would be the 3rd iteration.
Technically.
Okay.
But it's a replica of the second one.
Right.
Whether or not it's physically...
Just making sure I understood the timeline, it's the 3rd one.
Whether or not the Kowloon that we see in the show is a physical or artificial representation of the second Kowloon that these characters were part of. Like I said, I think that's all part of the Gene Terra project. So we finally get back to Reiko, and her and Hajime are working together. She steals a emergency instant ramen cup, and to make it up for him, they go shopping and she tries to replace it. At which point she confronts him, talking about how she feels it's probably best if she just leaves. It should be really painful for him to be reminded of somebody he loves so much that he's lost, and that her being there is not going to help him move on. At which point he tells her, "Don't be stupid, please stay," and then
boom,
a building explodes or there's an earthquake or something, and he rushes off to go help with the emergency.
And all of those fucking noodles.
Yeah, the whole thing of noodles fell over.
I'd hate to have to clean that up. I do love how he's like, these are from all over the world.
The different flavor types.
This is escargot cup noodle, and this is Mexican cup noodle, and I'm like, oh, buddy.
And yet again, we get another episode where we have significantly more questions than answers. But we're getting deeper into understanding what's going on, and nowhere near understanding really what's happening.
Do you know what is funny about Hebi Numa being intersex? There's lots of species of snake that are intersex.
Dude leans way too much into the fucking snake aesthetic.
Yep.
I will say, though, he was a lot more visually appealing.
Without the makeup?
Without the makeup.
Yep.
He has to try to dress himself up like some weather reporter girl.
I was like, he's intersex. Google. Ah.
I hate to admit it, but I've kind of always groaned in the series with the depiction of the women and how overly Barbie doll their bodies are.
Yeah.
But then when we get the comparison of
Glenn
with Yao Mei, Glenn has the biggest chest in the show.
He does. That man's pecs are just, damn.
He doesn't seem like the narcissist type. He just seems to maybe...
He does seem like genuinely...
a good person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like... trying to put my finger on him, like, are you a bad guy?
He has only been presented to us in a negative light because he is aggressive towards the new Reiko, and the fact that he's associated with Hebi Numa, which is presented to us as the antagonist of the show. Whether or not that's true.
Yeah, but now I'm confused as to whether that Hebi Numa is the bad guy, or if it's old man Hebi Numa.
Old man. Honestly, there probably is no bad guy. It's just events are causing complications for everybody involved.
Generic Terra, that's the villain.
That is. There's the jealousy thing that keeps being brought up. And I don't know if it's jealousy of Hebi Numa over his father's enjoyment of this other son, or this son that he's looking for. Or I've been thinking for a long time, before the introduction of his father and this other concept, that there's a jealousy stemming between Reiko and Hajime's relationship that Hebi Numa does not like.
Maybe.
Whether Hebi Numa wanted Reiko or Hajime.
Both. He wanted a thruple. Just a hot thruple.
I feel that a lot of that might be the core of a lot of what we're seeing now with this issue after it's resolved itself, or kind of. We are really seeing the fallout of a situation that we're trying to piece together through tips or through hints and clues.
Also, this show is just full of ridiculously attractive people.
It is. Everybody is really sexy in this show. Like, hands down.
Just the hottest characters.
The show...
Chiseled from the rocks of, Mount Olympus.
Yeah, there we go.
Zeus hurled them down to, just sculpt them in my image. But actually don't, because they'd all just be philanderous pieces of shit. Who knows? Maybe they are philanderous pieces of shit. Maybe that's why Kudo killed Reiko. I'm just kidding. No, I think it's along the lines of, especially because Glenn gave us that tidbit where Kudo didn't kill. And I think it's what we said. He just feels guilty and feels like he did do it.
I don't even know if she's dead or not.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Glenn was like, I don't think she's dead.
Everybody is being real cagey about it, though.
Yeah, if they said it right away, there would the goodbye mystery of the anime.
Kind of. We still got the mystery of what the fuck happened. Which, sure, yes, that could all be done in one crack, but...
Yeah, no, I would want it all in one crack. If you're going to spoil part of it, just give me all of it.
It depends upon how the story wants to roll.
Give me all of it. Nope.
So far, though, literally no complaints about this anime. It's been such an enjoyable story to watch unfold.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's so frustrating, it's like, oh my God, I just want to know what the hell is going on.
It is literally so much fun.
Yeah.
I have not a moment in this show where I'm like, this show could end, and I'd be okay.
And this episode just felt so short.
It did. It was just like, you're like, what the fuck?
It's like, wait, we're done already? Damn, I want more.
That was 22 minutes? This week on My Hero Academia Vigilante. It's not directly where we left off. For once, in the last 2 seasons, it's not directly where we left off. We open on the focus of the Yakuza. And we kind of get this kind of rundown of this Yakuza group that has a quirk. They all have quirks, and they've been using those quirks to do Yakuza shit. They don't view themselves as villains. However, the narration quickly clips in going, contrary to popular belief, they actually are villains. And it very quickly goes to show Stenthal going in, chopping him down with his fucking katana, being a badass. And we learn that he can do something, at the risk of sounding kinky, we learn that he can do something with his tongue that causes people's quirks to stop. He licks their blood, their quirks stop working, which was a major tip-off for me about something from the main series, which we'll get to when we get to the end of the episode.
I'm eager to know, because I figured there was stuff that happened in this episode that does tie to shit in the main series.
So that happens. And then we find the three Thug Stooges chilling in the hospital where their reptilian friend is recovering from being literally swatted against the wall. And we get a little bit of interaction between the the trio where they're kind of like, we shouldn't fuck with that trigger stuff. And which, hey, character growth, good job, guys. But they're still kind of pieces of shit. They accidentally set off an alarm in the hospital because they start smoking in a hospital. Soga decides...
Spiky Boy.
To lead, Spiky. Discount Wolverine. Wish.com Wolverine decides he's going to go off on his own to meet with Killer Bee.
And I think that's what he wanted to talk with Koichi and them about.
Yes.
Is he knows that somebody is going around killing people.
Right. And while he is off doing this with his trio of thugs, Killer Bee, we find out, is working with Stendhal.
Or trying to.
Trying to work with Stendhal. Is providing him information. She was the one that provided him the blood for the Yakuza, and she is basically giving him hit targets to go kill. And we find out that Stone Boy was one of them, and she has pictures of the three thugs. This then culminates in Wish Wolverine, Killer Bee, and Stendhal all in the same place. At first, it's just Wish.com Wolverine and Killer Bee. She's like, hey, there's this dude that I need you to, fucking deal with. He's a problem. She's like, here's some trigger. He's like, fuck your drugs, bitch. I'm a dare kid. And it ends up breaking out into a fight with Stendhal when he's just like, fuck this. I'm going to take this into my own hands and I'm going to fuck this dude up. Discount Wolverine ends up getting turned into a hedgehog.
Yeah, she
by her Killer Bee bees that inject him with turbo. And he gets shot up with so many drugs that he morphs into a fucking groundhog, a spiky groundhog. So Chronic the Death Hog starts fighting with Stendhal, receives several slashes across the chest, cries out in pain. And who but Koichi hears the pain of distress, or the cry of distress.
You mean the Crawler?
Sorry, the Crawler. Why can anybody ever call me the Crawler? Hearing this cry for help, he very quickly crawls towards the to the disturbance in the force, and he finds out that dude got morphed into a giant hedgehog. Some bibbly battles happen. Koichi gets cut, loses some blood, and tries to escape after realizing he can't fucking fight this guy. And that's when we learn what the extent of Stendhal's quirk is. So he licks somebody's blood and basically locks them in place. And we learn that it can affect anybody, quirked or not quirked. Because very quickly after that, Knuckle Duster shows up, fights him, basically has this Mexican standoff with him, where he's like, if you cross this line, I'm gonna punch you in the goddamn face. Proceeds to punch him in the goddamn face before he even crosses the line.
Because he went and crossed the line instead.
Which Koichi then very quickly points out that he's like, he needed to cross the line, and Knuckle Duster's like, I don't give a fuck.
Allegories!
And then we find out that Stendhal has this like freak out because Knuckle Duster goes off on this like, oh, these people with fucking masks, all they ever do is, hide behind their mask and,
Says the man wearing a mask.
Exactly. But he like has this holier than thou talk about how people behind masks are just like always braver and when they show their true face, they're cowards. And Stendhal's just like, well then I'm gonna show my real fucking face. Fuck it. And he fucks off. I'm surprised I didn't make this connection sooner, by the way, with with who this character is. And basically, to wrap up the episode, we get Pop Step showing up, being like, "What the fuck happened?" Koichi is getting treated. Pop Step starts treating.
He was such a baby.
He was, which I love for him.
Yeah,
he's a little bitch, and I love him. Pop Step starts treating Chronic the Death Hog.
Soga.
And the real important part is where it like clicked for me. Who Stendhal actually is within the wider narrative of MHA.
As he's having his
taxi
driver freak out.
He's having a meltdown. Scars the fuck up out of his face.
He cuts his fucking nose off.
Yes. Fucking Ya yeets a knife into Killer Bee's eye.
Yeah.
Which she's lucky that...
He knew she wasn't going to be dead.
Which he's lucky that he hit her in the bad eye.
Or in her mind, the good eye.
And the key giveaway is as he's walking away, the last thing he says is about his blood is going to stain something. There's a character in MHA who, spoilers for those of you that haven't seen My Hero Academia, ends up severely disables Ingenium.
Okay.
Like he can no longer be Ingenium. And it's him. He takes on the moniker Stained and becomes a massive hero killer. He's just going around fucking murdering people as Stain. And it connected because the tongue thing, I was like, that's really familiar. And I was like, his voice sounds familiar. And then when he cut his nose off, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Is that him? And then he said the line, my blood will be a stain. I'm like, hey, it's fucking Stain.
At the beginning of the episode, I was thinking about how it would be really cool if this character, this antagonist that we're now dealing with, is standalone and independent from My Hero Academia. That it's not just some origin story for a character that'll be more important in My Hero Academia, purely because of the idea of that means that nothing gets resolved with him in Vigilantes. So that's a disappointing aspect from my perspective.
But we don't know what's going to continue. He
True.
could still be a big part of this series.
He could, but we know he's not going to be conclusively dealt with.
Right.
So that's a little sad, but otherwise, this was a great episode.
I love a good villain origin story.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it, but I think it would have been, for me, it would have been really cool if that wasn't the case, if this just was an isolated character, because the character's cool as hell.
Well, I do really think this like Killer Bee shadow thing is the standalone villain.
I can see that, yeah. You would know better than me, obviously, if she has any kind of input. Well,
she has not shown up at all in the 4 or 5 seasons that I've watched My Hero Academia.
Okay.
But I still have season 5, 6, 7, and 8 to watch.
No, this was such a fun episode.
I will be disappointed if she works for All for One.
Yeah.
Who is the ultimate villain.
Okay.
He is the counter to All Might.
All Might. So far, Vigilante has just been a lot of fun. I'm glad that we're watching this. It's been a really enjoyable show.
I'm glad you're liking it.
I think the thing I love the most about it is how 90s cartoon American comic book Knuckle Duster is.
Yeah.
He looks like he comes straight out of Image Comics.
Even with Stendhal, when he was jumping back, you saw the little thump.
That, yeah. Stendhal looks like...
He was a 90s Punisher.
He looks like Shatterstar.
Yeah. He definitely felt like he stepped out of a 90s Punisher comic.
Yeah. He fucked up those Yakuza. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That was kind of a cool fight.
That was a cool fight.
Even though it was short-lived, it's like, oh my God.
He fucked them up.
Just fucking blew in through the window. Was like, all right, bitches, it's time to die.
He's also that cool in My Hero Academia.
Just straightforward and brutal.
Yup.
The man's got a couple of screws missing.
So he's got a lot of fucking screws missing. He gets more precise in My Hero Academia. He'll like literally go and like, oh, cut your tendon.
Pop Step commenting about Koichi's wound was alluding to something like that. Because she talked about, hey, at least it wasn't your tendon that got cut.
I think that's why Ingenium can't run anymore. It's because he cut the tendons in his...
And then given Koichi's connection with Ingenium, there has to be a lot of intention behind that offhanded statement from Pop Step.
I wonder.
The more you know.
I bet he's going to show up again.
I think he will, yeah. Well,
I bet before
I hope he shows up again.
I have a feeling this isn't going to wrap up nicely in one season. I think it's supposed to be 2 to 3 seasons.
No, I think it's only one season.
Are you sure?
I think so, yeah. I think it's only 13 episodes.
Okay, because I thought the manga was longer than what could possibly be covered in 13 episodes.
Only time will tell. I wouldn't mind there being more. I'm enjoying it so far.
I mean, MHA is one of the most popular animes of all time. At least for shonen.
Well, the manga. This week's episode of Lazarus has the team getting a mysterious and convenient clue in the form of a 15-year-old magazine article that talked about Dr. Skinner meeting with a cult of Luddites who have taken themselves off the grid and worship an AI as their god. Elena, conveniently enough, grew up in the cult and had escaped it at some point in her life and is now offering her connection with the cult to go back to investigate to see if Skinner is hiding out there. because they don't want her to go alone. She tells them that they're going to be really suspicious if she shows up with some random adult. So they have Leland go with her as a new pledge to this group of individuals, we'll say. The whole team heads off to wherever this compound is, assumedly somewhere in America. And the three adults, Chris, Axel, and Doug, hole up in a motel not too far away and are waiting for a signal or for a specific time. They're giving them 72 hours. If there's no contact within 72 hours, they're going to rush in guns blazing. Axel gives Leland a smoke bomb as kind of like an emergency backup device of sorts. And the two kids head off to the compound and join the ranks of the cult, where we learn a little bit about Elena's past and how the conditioning of the cult is, in the fact that it pretty much forces people not to have interpersonal connections instead of having a connection to the whole. She's not supposed to recognize her mother as her mother, but just another member of the larger family that is the cult.
As many cults do.
After a little bit of searching, they don't see any sign of Skinner, so their next best option is to hack into the AI that is the deity of the cult, that's named Naga. As they're doing this, the other three, through working with Hirsch, learn that the AI was modeled after Skinner, and one of the people that was part of the team stole it and ran away and started the cult. This gives them a little bit of concern, going to the idea right away that if Skinner, a human, has so eagerly come to the conclusion that he just needs to wipe humanity out, what does that mean for an artificial intelligence that's based off of him, to do for the sake of humanity? Find out pretty quickly, though, because Elena and Leland are caught, put into jail, and they're going to be the prime centerpiece for an upcoming festival that is a new thing within the cult. This event didn't happen or exist when she was still living there. Long story short, they're doing a Midsommar. So they're gonna sacrifice the two interlopers to the fire, and then they're gonna do Jim Jones' ritual suicide.
Oh yeah.
And appease the AI for whatever fucking reason. While they are imprisoned and find out their fate from a girl that Elena had considered a close friend of hers, Leland tells her, look, you can help us get out of this. There's a smoke bomb in my bag. Use that, we'll figure something out. So sacrifice day comes, they're being lowered into the fire. The girl has a turn of conscience, has the smoke bomb, throws it into the fire, sends the signal to the rest of Lazarus, who come charging in the cavalry. Along with them is the FBI, because the FBI has been kind of getting close to this cult as well. All hell breaks loose. The leader of the cult brings as many people into the inner sanctum as possible, where they're just going to all burn to death in favor of their AI god. And AI god crashes on him, killing him, and everybody else gets saved, carted off, time to deprogram them. And the Lazarus is back at home, and they have the thumb drive that Elena was able to download some information from Naga into. And so they're working on decrypting that. And so that's kind of where we leave off.
Download Skinner's consciousness.
Yeah, so this episode was Jim Jones' Johnstown Massacre, People's Temple, with Midsommar, kind of all wrapped into one.
It's a very, very big critique on cults.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of noticed the show has been critiquing portions of real life, internet celebrities, tech bros, now cults.
It's a point of interest too, because cults are a really big problem in Japan.
Yeah, they are.
I've
heard about a lot of cults from Japan, and I'm just
yeah,
god damn, these are wild.
Yeah, a lot of people are desperate and just are easily lured into false platitudes.
Are you sad with your regular job at,
shitty corporate life?
Yeah.
Where your boss hates you and
black corporations?
Yeah, some black job. I don't know, this episode is okay. Everything seemed way too goddamn convenient. Just from the beginning with that magazine article. I'm glad that we didn't have to deal with the other hacker from the last episode, because I thought we were just going to literally move into still fighting her. Hopefully, the information that Elena was able to download can actually give us some concrete evidence or better hint as to finding Skinner. An interesting concept would be have the AI figure out if it can make a antidote. But I don't think the AI survived the fire and everything though.
I know Axel was talking shit to it.
Yeah.
And it basically, he was like, why would you do this? Why? Because I can.
I don't know if I had missed it earlier, but suddenly in the back half of the show, there was the whole concept of the AI's idea of being created was to create a needy personality or something like that. And it was like, oh.
I just like the vibes of like I can't do that, Dave.
Very much so. It was very much Hal. What were your thoughts on the episode of Lazarus?
Enjoyable. I continue to like the series. I like the slow burn.
This episode had more to offer than the previous one, but I still think it's got a way to go. Too many things are very convenient.
That's fair. I mean, there's not a lot to say. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, they're getting closer to catching fucking Skinner.
I mean, it was very much Midsommar, 100%. Which is funny, because that's the second anime this season that has referenced that fucking movie. If all these shows have 13 episodes, next week will be the literal midpoint. But we're essentially mid-season at this point. Kowloon Generic Romance is fantastic. Vigilante is so entertaining, and just between the onomatopoeias splashing everywhere, like it's the 60s Batman TV show, spot on.
It is very good.
I just wish Lazarus was better. I
don't need to wish Lazarus is better, because I like it. I like it a lot. I look forward to it every week.
I don't look forward to it, but I don't it doesn't hurt me to watch it. I sometimes feel like it's wasting my time. Like, poke it with a stick and tell it to do more. Do something. Oh, all right. We got anything else?
Not that I can think of.
So thanks again for listening. And I do hope that we'll get more of My Hero Academia Vigilante.
Me too.
So far, it's been really good, and I wouldn't mind continuing to watch it. Still not going to watch the main series. The show's never going to convince me to watch it because I know this show is very different from that one.
I'll just fill you in on everything that you need to be filled in on.
And then stuff I don't even need to be filled in on. All right.
You do the same to me with shows I don't care about.
I do. This is absolutely true. That's the existence of a discussion.
And being friends with anime nerds.
Exactly. Don't forget our other weekly podcast, Anime Plus, comes out on Wednesdays. And the current iteration of it, we are going over season 2 of Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary, which has been fantastic. Amazing writing. Just such an engaging story. And otherwise find us on social media. Hit us up on Discord and, we'll chat. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys later.
Deuces.